And joining us live tonight, Prashant Bhushan, leader of the Swaraj Samvad and a close associate of Yogendra Yadav. Mr. Bhushan, good evening. Thanks for joining me this evening. Very serious charges, Mr. Bhushan, by Yogendra Yadav, where he talks about not just being manhandled, he specifically has said that he received a death threat by a station house officer of the Delhi police. Extremely serious charges that, he couldn't possibly back away from now.
Yes, these are certainly very serious charges, and the behavior of the Parliament Street police officers, particularly the SHO, was certainly very, very highly objectionable. When I reached there at about 1:45 last night, I asked to meet the SHO or any senior officer who's there in order to find out what are the charges that have been leveled against Yogendra Yadav and others. On what charges have they been detained? But nobody came forth at all. I asked to meet Yogendra Yadav in my capacity as his lawyer. The Supreme Court says that as soon as a person is arrested, his next of kin must be informed and he should be allowed to meet his lawyer. He should also be informed about the charges against him. None of this was done by the police, and they continued with this illegal detention until we filed this petition in the High Court, and the High Court virtually ordered them to release everybody unconditionally.
Mr. Bhushan, now the matter is before a court now. We'll have to see what they say. But, on the political aspect of it, the detention, Mr. Bhushan, I'm asking you about the Aam Aadmi Party that came forward. Arvind Kejriwal tweeted in Yogendra Yadav's support. There was a bit of tension there as well. Is that something, many people have had their, something or the other to say about the manner in which the Aam Aadmi Party has come forward to support this particular issue and be on your side on this issue. Are you looking at that generously? Are you welcoming that support from the Aam Aadmi Party? Or are you, as some people think, looking at this as some kind of political opportunism?
No, you see, we welcome any support from any quarter on any public interest which we have taken up. Clearly, the farmers' issue is of enormous public interest, and this whole issue of virtually police raj, where you have to take police permission even to exercise your fundamental right of peaceful protest, is also a public issue of enormous importance. Any support from any quarter, including, of course, the Aam Aadmi Party, is certainly
because
most
one
welcome.
view, Mr. Bhushan, is that after many weeks and months of animosity and hostility between yourself, Mr. Yogendra Yadav on the one side and the Aam Aadmi Party on the other, and we in the media have covered that bitterness and hostility, some people are saying that this is some very valuable, pretty solid point of convergence between two, adversaries, which may lead to some kind of possible ghar wapsi for you and Yogendra Yadav to the Aam Aadmi Party. Is that even conceivable?
No, you see, the fact that we have parted ways does not mean that we cannot converge on any issue of public interest. But that our convergence on any issue of public interest does not mean that we are likely or going to get back organizationally. There are serious differences between us on many issues of principle, and therefore this should not be taken as any indication that we are going to come back together. However, even amongst people who are not together, who may have been together earlier or who may not have been together earlier, there can certainly be convergence on issues, and we welcome this convergence on these issues.
Prashant Bhushan, fair enough. Thank you very much for joining us this evening on the news today at 9. We'll keep tracking that story. Well, we've got some breaking news coming in on last Wednesday's terror attack in Udhampur. Our correspondent Jugal Purohit has managed to access some first information on the chilling new details that we've been able to access, suggesting that a shocking lapse by the border security force made that convoy a sitting duck during the attack. While a BSF convoy usually travels in a group of 20 vehicles at a time across the national highway, poor coordination led to the isolation of the ill-fated BSF bus that was finally attacked by Lashkar terrorist Mohammad Naved and his co-conspirators. It took over 25 minutes for the first responders to reach the bus that was under attack. It's a very clear indication from the initial findings of the investigation that the BSF violated extremely strict convoy guidelines, as a result of which it was completely isolated, an unthinkable circumstance for a military or paramilitary convoy in a dangerous area like the Jammu-Srinagar highway. I want to quickly bring in correspondent Jugal Purohit, who's been able to access this initial information that provides perhaps the most chilling details and puts the onus on the border security force itself. Jugal, this is not going to make the BSF very comfortable, given that there are two parallel investigations on at this time.
Absolutely, Shiv. In fact, if you are to look at the BSF, it finds itself in a strange quagmire of sorts. The DG BSF, defending his men, said that there was no violation of any SOP, but the fact is, and top sources in the BSF have confirmed to us, that the court of inquiry, which is looking into this issue, is very seriously going to probe just how, if at all it can be called, a convoy and a bus in the middle of a convoy gets left behind in a manner in which for more than 25 minutes, neither the front nor the rear could even reach that bus. And the second part, Shiv, is that the Home Ministry sources are informing us that these two terrorists, Naved and Nomin, were at the site for nearly 2 hours. And in those 2 hours, I've been able to confirm a CRPF convoy as well as an army convoy passed through that area, possibly in their very presence out there. Yet no attack was launched. And people are now saying it's very likely that the BSF bus was chosen because it was isolated, it had no armed escorts, and was traveling all alone, perhaps making the terrorists believe that it would be easy game. So this is what is under probe. And while the focus is on Naved, the fact is quiet investigations are throwing up a disturbing scenario for the BSF.
Disturbing, terrifying circumstances and indications that Constable Rocky and Constable Shubhendu Rai were part of a convoy that was violating convoy norms that are very strict in that particular area. Thanks very much, Jugal, for getting us that breaking news here on News Today at 9. Moving on, a newspaper report this morning claims that India's most wanted terrorist Dawood Ibrahim had offered to return on his own terms in 2013 when the UPA government was in power. However, then Union Home Minister Sushil Kumar Shinde rejected the report and denied any offer made by Dawood for his return. As you can imagine, it sparked a big political war of words.
He is India's most wanted terrorist. Mastermind of 1993 serial blast in Mumbai, which claimed 257 lives and injured more than 700 people. For the last 22 years, Dawood Ibrahim has remained beyond the reach of security agencies. Now, a news report in Indian Express has claimed that the underworld fugitive had offered to return as recently as 2013. As per the report, a Delhi-based lawyer who is also a Congress leader communicated to his party that the underworld fugitive was ready to come back to India. Dawood's offer was reportedly discussed at the highest level within the Congress party and the then government led by Manmohan Singh. But Dawood's offer was reportedly rejected by the then Manmohan Singh government, as it felt that conducting a trial against India's most wanted on his terms was too risky. However, former Union Home Minister says that no such offer was made.
When I was Home Minister of the country, we had no information from any source, any agency. From any agency there was no information to us.
During that time, I was the police commissioner in Mumbai. I am not aware of that kind of the activities. Sometimes some initiative was taken or so on.
It was Ram Jethmalani who had stated that underworld Don wanted to return to India in 1990s, but on his own terms. The question is, when will Dawood Ibrahim be brought back to India? All eyes are now on Modi government, which has promised to bring India's most wanted to justice. With camera person Sanjay Chaudhary, Arthur Khan in Delhi, for India Today.
Well, the big question obviously is, was there really any such offer? Is there any evidence to actually prove that an offer like this was made by Dawood Ibrahim 2 years ago when the UPA government was in power? And who's really putting out this information? Joining us this evening on the News Today at 9, Senior Congress leader and former Union Minister RPN Singh, who's with us. Welcome, sir. Thanks for joining us this evening on this discussion. Also with us is Jaidev Ranade, former Additional Secretary of India's External Intelligence Agency, the Research and Analysis Wing. Mr. RPN Singh, several different leaders today, from Prime Minister Manmohan Singh to then Home Minister Mr. Sushil Kumar Shinde to several other leaders, have either said they have no recollection of such an offer being made, to Sushil Kumar Shinde saying no such agency ever provided any such information of any kind of offer, to certain leaders saying this is complete rubbish. Given that the Congress Party's categorical denial or rubbishing of this story is clear, I just wanted to ask you, Mr. Singh, what are you making of this report? What is the Congress Party making of this report? Why has it come out at this time? What do you think is the source? What are you making of it?
Man, I can't reply for why these stories are coming out. But as it has been stated by the former Home Minister, Mr. Shinde, it is completely wrong, the story. There was no such offer. The Prime Minister, the ex-Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, has said it is speculative. And I was the minister with Mr. Shinde, and I categorically state that no such offer was given. And I think this story is absolutely misleading and it is speculative.
Sir, if I could just pick your brain just a little bit. The reason we've decided to put this story in focus today is not because, it's on the front page of a newspaper, but because this is actually the second time, reports of quote-unquote offer are actually being reported in the media. So there's obviously, information. There are people like Ram Jethmalani who've talked about it. Now you've got, an unnamed source, a lawyer who's talked about this particular offer. Does the Congress have a sense of what this is, supposed to really be about? Does someone have a point to prove? Because at the end of the day, this government has talked about how bringing Dawood back is a priority, sir.
It was a priority for us also. While we were in government, we tried everything possible to get him back to India and try him for the heinous crimes that he committed in India. And I think any government that is in power will continue to follow that path. But these stories are coming out and trying to show that the Congress Party was trying to negotiate with Dawood. We would never negotiate with terrorists, and we have never negotiated with terrorists. And I would like to say it once again on your program, that we had no such offer. And the story says that some lawyer has offered this kind of claim. I think he should be named and should step forward and tell the country who he spoke to and what offer he came up with. Because the Prime Minister says it's speculative. Yeah. Sushil Kumar Shinde ji, in fact, I met him this evening and I had a chat with him too, and he said, I don't know where these stories are emanating from, because there was no such offer. Do you recall of any such offer? I said, definitely not, sir. And he was, when he says something as serious as that, I think we all should believe that.
Jaidev Ranade, there's a strong political flavor to what's going on here. You've got members of parties, coming out with these revelations at this time. As a former senior intelligence officer with the Research and Analysis Wing, Mr. Ranade, how are you viewing, this, intermittent sort of claim by leaders that there was some kind of negotiation going on, that there was an offer from Dawood? Does it seem plausible at all to you, sir?
Well, it's very intriguing that this report has surfaced now, and I think, as the previous panelists just said, any comments should be highly speculative, particularly because our Prime Minister, former Prime Minister, has categorically stated that no such issue was discussed, and the Home Minister has also said it. So whoever has put out this report needs to back it up and needs to substantiate. Having said that, let me just add one more thing, that this so-called offer by Dawood to come back and submit to the Indian legal system, did it have any riders? Had he sort of imposed certain conditions?
Yes.
All this has to be looked at. I mean, whether it was acceptable or not.
All right, BJP leader and Member of Parliament Kirit Somaiya is also with us, and I want to bring him in on this to get the BJP's own view on this. Former leader of yours, Mr. Somaiya, Ram Jethmalani, was in fact one of the first to, bring up this claim of there having been some kind of offer for Dawood Ibrahim to actually come back and face Indian law with certain conditions. How is the BJP now looking at this? The onus of the report that came out today in the Indian Express is on the Congress party. There's been a categorical denial at every level by all of the people named in that report. What is the BJP looking for, if at all, going forward on this report? Does there need to be any action? Does there need to be an inquiry of some kind?
Every Indian wants Dawood back in India. Every Indian wants that Dawood should be hanged. He should be brought before the justice. Now anything, whether any offer has come in 2013 or not, nobody knows, because nobody is accepting. Not Prime Minister, not Home Minister, not a single Congressee. So whatever, if something new come up, any information about Dawood, I think this government, Modi government, will be too ready or eager to act on any information on Dawood to get him back before the justice.
RPN Singh, do you see a political flavor to all of this? To these reports coming out, do you see a political motivation?
That they should be I think it's extremely unfortunate that politics should run out as far as terrorists are concerned. Our stated position, and I state that again, we do not deal with terrorists, we do not negotiate with terrorists, and somebody like Dawood should be brought to justice. We pursued all avenues to bring him back to India, and punishment should be meted out to him. And I'm sure the present government will follow the same ways that we follow to try to get him back. It seems very easy, while the BJP had some great plans while they were in opposition, and we have Shiv Sena telling us why don't we go in and like what America did in Pakistan and do it. It all seems very easy to say, but now BJP and its government, it would say rhetoric and actually acting out on what you say are two different things.
Kirit Somaya, taking off on that, has the BJP, got a very strong dose of reality? One thing you said, when you were in the opposition, including your allies, but now perhaps the BJP has suddenly realized just how difficult it is to actually bring Dawood back. And that may have something to do with some of these reports. I'm not making any allegations. I'm merely asking you a question, sir.
See, everything depends upon the information, opportunity, and the political will. The three things have to go together. Now, as on today, when the BJP has come to power, as I told you, if anybody, any reporter or any advocate or any expert authority, if he comes forward and gives some information to government on its own certainly trying, but simultaneously any information in this direction come, I'm very much certain this government will certainly take into confidence all important persons, segment, and will act.
Okay, you're saying that you will act. RPN Singh has also, graciously said that he is sure that this government will do everything it can as far as Dawood Ibrahim is concerned. But Mr. Ranade, as an analyst now and a senior intelligence officer earlier, does this make you uncomfortable? The fact, the timing, the sort of complexion of some of the details coming out of what, if it really did happen, must have been a very, very sensitive sort of development, sir. Does it make you uncomfortable? Should these things be kept under wraps for governments to deal with?
Well, as I said, firstly, it's intriguing for it to appear now, for it to surface now. Secondly, it does confirm that Dawood is in touch with various people across a section of our society. And that I don't think is a very comfortable thought that that is going on. But having said that, let me just mention one more thing. That while we are talking about bringing him back, and I'm certain that the governments would put pressure, and presently we have very competent people also at the helm of affairs who are very savvy about what's going on in Pakistan, we must not forget the nexus between Dawood and the ISI, Pakistan's deep state.
Right.
And I don't think for a moment that Pakistan will be willing to let Dawood get out of its clutches.
All right, so it's got to be India above politics as far as Dawood Ibrahim is concerned. This was constructive. RPN Singh, quick final word? Yes.
Well, as you know, when the BJP in opposition, they kept pointing fingers on us about us being weak on trying to get Dawood back. But when they had to make a statement in Parliament, the Home Minister made a statement in Parliament saying Dawood is not even present in Pakistan.
Right.
So you can see the major shift that they made when they were in government. So for them to be saying that we were or trying to politicize that issue would actually fall very flat.
Well, as Jaydev Ranade initially said, let's just hope that it can be India above politics, at least as far as terrorism is concerned, not a tutu meme over Dawood or any other issue facing the country. But this was constructive. RPN Singh, Jaydev Ranade and Kirit Somaya, thank you very much, gentlemen.